All right, so welcome to another video. Today we're going to take a look at Teladoc Health, and the stock continues to move higher. I'm going to share with you some insights. Keep in mind, it's no recommendation to buy, sell, or trade stocks. It's just my own personal opinion. And if you want to grab my opinion, you can do so on our Discord channel. You can request videos. There's some stock movers that I post periodically. And you can also do the same thing when it comes to our website. Just go to Traders Fly and pick up one of the freebies over here. And you can grab a ton of freebies from trading journals to optionable strategies and much more. Okay, so let's kick things off, and we're going to get started here on this Teladoc. Obviously, when you start looking at TDOC, there's some news that's pushing the stock higher because a lot of people still trade off of the news. Not that it really matters too much from our perspective if you're putting on spreads or you're doing options, depending on that kind of industries. If you're dealing with the option side, it really doesn't matter what the news is. It's just that the stock is now moving. So as we look to evaluate it and analyze it, you're kind of looking at, okay, well, is this something that I'm really looking to kind of buy into? Because does it change the chart? Does it change the perception? And will continue moving in the direction that I'm placing a trade on, or maybe non-direction if you're doing non-directional trades. So for example, Teladoc right here, it's gaining announcement of Amazon, Alexa link up. They're partnering with some Amazon stuff. So they're doing some stuff. But anyway, as I look into this, so you can see the stock is kind of popping a little bit higher. But to me, as I was looking at the stock chart anyway, the stock's been declining quite a bit, and I'll show you here in a zoomed out version anyway. And as it's declining, I was waiting for this to break anyway, this price level. Now, unfortunately, this doesn't trade as liquid as maybe some of the other stocks like a Microsoft or something. But we're waiting for this kind of break of this downward descending trend. And once that breaks, that's usually a good sign. Unfortunately, right now, it's still kind of the first day, but you can see the volume's picking up pretty nicely. So if we go to the weekly and you start kind of analyzing the stock, you can see it's been going down for quite a bit. We reached the highs of around 300. So the stock's kind of pulled back, moved a little sideways, and continued to move down. I thought it would kind of base around, this price level of looking about 75, but it didn't do that. So it took a little bit longer, even 85 right there, but it just didn't pan out and didn't work out. So anyway, we ended up getting down into some lower levels right here. And now it's kind of reversed, right? So it's doing fine now, at least for the day. But this is what you want to watch. This is really what I was looking at. It was like, okay, so if we start looking at this descending trend line right here, there's resistance, resistance, resistance. Now we're starting to get that break. So does that mean that we're getting somewhat of a turnaround? And that's the question. With volume coming in, that's bullish. This is usually a good sign. And that's where I start looking at things. Hey, this could be a little bit of a nibbling opportunity where you start getting into the stock lightly or gently, because then what happens is that maybe we start clearing certain levels, we pull back, then again, you can add to the dip, and then it might pop higher. So this is what I'm kind of looking for in stocks that are, have been going down for a while, and then they're looking for a turnaround. It's exactly kind of the type of thing that I'm looking for. Now, this is still, I think, a little early to get too heavy on the position. But look, if you normally trade 100 shares, you could say, hey, I'll put on 10 shares. If I normally trade 10 option spreads, you could put on like 1 or 2 option spreads. So you start looking at putting on a few little positions that start pushing into some higher levels. And then you can continue to pick up and accelerate your power as you continue to kind of go. So anyway, as we take a look at this here, some of this level, I think it's not a bad starting point. You're also starting to clear some of the moving averages here. So that's also a good sign. You don't see any crossovers on the moving averages, which is usually a nicer point, because sometimes what you'll get is you'll get this, it's starting to go up, and then it just reverses. So that's where the crossover of a moving average is nice. And a crossover, I'll just show you what it kind of might look like, is if we go into right here, you can see like the moving average, like the short duration is crossing over like the longer duration. And that's where you get a little bit more positive action. Now, it doesn't mean it can't roll over later, but at least you get a secondary like confirmation with that. And that's what you're kind of maybe looking for in this kind of stock or situation, because otherwise, if you get in it too early right now, this might be like a one-day thing, and then boom, it's right back down there. So anyway, that's why I'm kind of making this video also a little bit later in the day, so that way you could see maybe a follow through tomorrow, and if you see a follow through, or even if you see a little pullback, because there's a tiny little gap right here, if it comes in and it bounces off of that, that might be a nice area. So I'd say, hey, if you're looking to start positioning yourself, right? If we're looking at positioning strategic chess pieces, if we're starting to position ourselves around this $70, $60, $80 range, and we're looking for the stock to maybe get to, let's say, 120, that's a good kind of positioning, right? We're trying to position around here, and we're aiming for that stock to maybe get to 120. Of course, it'd be nice if then it gets to 150 or even 300 back to where it was. Excuse me, but we just don't know where it's going to continue to press into those higher prices. So anyways, I just wanted to give you an announcement saying, hey, this one's starting to push and it's starting to move and the volume's starting to pick up speed. Doesn't matter the reason why, but from a technical perspective here, it's starting to also break these descending trend lines, which means it's possibly starting to get to that oversold level, at least for the short term, where it could actually push things into a little bit higher price levels. All right. Anyway, I hope that helps. Definitely, if you want to request some tickers for me to do, go to the Discord channel. It's in the link in the description. You can sign up. It's absolutely free. It's just kind of like a chat room if you're brand new to Discord. So just, you're hanging out in the chat room, and we're not doing a ton of chatting, but periodically you can go ahead and I'll post some charts here. Specifically, you can open up and take a look at different price levels and supports, or you can grab a bunch of freebies on our website. And also there's some classes here that we've got coming up. So there's all the freebies, and we just recently finished up 2 great classes on risk arrays and swing trading as well, technicals. We've got another one coming up, maybe about market seasons. So that's kind of what we got in the agenda. Hope you stick around, join us, and subscribe. Thanks again, and I will see you in the next video and episode.